I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Came from the past to destroy the future.
I know the word that cannot do all you have wrought.
He lays waste to all in his path.
His magic has no mercy.
Shall she live?
His evil has no equal. Warlock. Rated R.
Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another review. There's another paid request, this time for Eelco. And it's for the first Warlock film, which is funny because I saw the second one first, and now I've seen the first one. I know there's three of them, but the third one does not have Julian Sands. It has Bruce Payne, I believe, as the Warlock. But anyone, before I say anything more, for those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, or anything random or anything out of the blue, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. I will get to them as soon as I can. But Warlock came out around 1989. It was directed by Steve Miner. Steve Miner, who did Friday the 13th Part 2 and 3. He did the film House from the 80s. He would go on to do Halloween H2O, Lake Placid, the Day of the Dead remake. But this one he did, and it was pretty decent. Pretty decent film, I gotta admit. In particular because I thought the cast played their roles fairly well. You know, the 1600s in Boston, it starts off. Julian Sands is the Warlock in question. He's definitely relishing his role as the Warlock who wants to be the true son of Satan. And his adversary is Richard E. Grant. Now, Richard E. Grant, usually I saw him as a villain in movies. For example, he's one of the villains in Hudson Hawk. Him and his wife are sort of the big villains of Hudson Hawk. But it was interesting to see him play a good guy in this. And I guess apparently there was thoughts that maybe he would be the Warlock, but the director liked him enough to cast him as the good guy. So like I said, it was nice to see him play a different kind of role. One thing leads to another, and the two are transported to the 20th century, where we meet our other lead, Laurie Senior, who's, you know, a typical 80s girl. And I liked her. She had a pretty decent attitude to her. She had a little bit of a sense of humor. I'll admit, some of the effects don't hold up the best. Like how our characters are transported to the 20th century. This very little goofy tornado. This looks very goofy. It just doesn't hold up. And then it kind of becomes almost like a Terminator story. Because you have a guy from a different time. And then this girl who's actually a waitress like Sarah Connor was a waitress. They have to team up to stop this figure. Although it doesn't involve unborn, predators. It doesn't involve that. So it's not totally like Terminator, but it has a little bit of a Terminator vibe with the two of them joined up. And then, of course, they fall a little bit in love. But I said all the actors did their jobs well for what they're supposed to. And it does have some pretty decent effects. There's a point where Warlock cuts a guy's finger off to get this ring that he lights. Actually bites the guy's tongue out and then spits it into this pan and it sizzles like a piece of food. There's another point where Mary Warrenov, she has been in quite a few stuff. She was in Night of the Comet. She's been in quite a few other movies. She plays his fate psychic. As she gets possessed, her face kind of changes, and getting some decent makeup effects in there. Because the gist of the rest of the plot is the Warlock makes a deal with Satan. Satan wants him to find 3 parts of a book. If you get all 3 parts of the book, you do this ritual, and you say God's real name backwards. Sure, why not? But you say God's true name backwards, it will undo creation, and then you will be at my side. And of course the Warlock's like, yeah, I want to kiss the devil's ass right between his sweaty red cheeks. I will do it. But there is some creativity involved, and that's one of the things I enjoyed about it as well. Like, as possessed, the devil says, cut out this woman's eyes, and they will be your guide. So he'll take this pair of eyes, and wherever they look, that's where he goes. Again, that's kind of a fun makeup effect. There are some weak ones, though. Lori Senior, she gets this curse where she looks like she's 40. After a few days, she looks like she's 60. The makeup on that looks awful. But then I looked up in the trivia. Apparently, it's because I think these films are on Blu-ray. Or am I thinking of the Wishmaster movies? I want to say they're on Blu-ray from Vestron. Might be someone else I think. But anyway, Lori Senior would not let them do makeup on her. Apparently. Unless you do certain little things, but not a lot. So, thus the makeup isn't as good as the other makeup. So, she doesn't look like she's 40 or 60. It just looks just bad. It's just really badly done. Again, I can't blame the makeup effects if Lori Senior wanted to be a drama queen about it. That's where the director should have been, no, you don't fucking do this, or you don't get some penalty. And it's not like Lori Senior was a big... I don't know who the fuck Lori Senior is. I don't know what the fuck she's done. Just do the fucking job. It's in the script. Fucking do it. Put some fucking makeup on your sorry face. Oh, that's not fair. She has a good face. But just put some makeup on. So instead it just looks weird. It just doesn't look the best. Because fucking actress won't let the makeup people do their fucking job. With that said, I do think Lori Senior and Richard E. Grant, they did a nice job working with each other. You know, that sort of fish out of water element where Richard E. Grant is getting used to the 20th century. Oh yeah, some guy from 17th century is going to teach me how to drive. You get a little bit of that decent sense of humor from Lori Senior's character with some of the lines she spits out. And then you get some nasty bits of plot where Warlock gets the ability to fly. How he does this is he gets a kid who is not baptized, kills him, collects his fat, and drinks it. But you don't see a lot of that. Like, it's done in good taste. Like, you find out the kid's been killed, And then he has, it's done tastefully enough. They don't go overboard. And in my opinion, they didn't have to go overboard. The idea alone is nasty enough to make us hate the villain even more, but you get enough to understand what's going on. And you could tell they had some limitations with the plot. I mentioned Terminator, but even Terminator, the action scenes have a bit more oomph to them compared to this. Well, I would not say the action scenes really had much oomph. I think it was more ambition than execution at times that made it work. Like the little rules this universe has. For example, when Julian Sands is trying to get away, and Richard E. Grant goes, find his footprints and nail them, and each time you nail them, it will hurt him. So nailing his footprints will hurt him. Okay, never heard that before, but that's interesting. Or even a point where some alright effects, Richard E. Grant stabs Julian Sands at one point, and Julian Sands opens it and his wound heals because he's growing with power with each book he collects. Again, not too bad. Or when Richard E. Grant has this sort of, it's like a piece of iron, but it's a piece of, I forget what it's called, that has the north, south, east, west directions on it. He throws like a spear and stabs Julian Sands. Again, that was pretty neat. Because it shows Richard E. Grant is not a useless person. Because sometimes in these movies, okay, this is the person that has come to help, but then you give that person nothing to do, so then it makes you go, why the fuck is he here in the first place? Oh, just for exposition? No, he does actually do some stuff. He actually does have merit. Maybe not nowadays, because the guy can't do anything, the girl has to do everything, but no. Kind of like Kyle Reese in the first Terminator, there is merit to this person. And I mentioned like Lori Senior with some of her humor and her dialogue. Like the Richard E. Grant gives her a nail, and she's like, a shitty little nail? Give me a shotgun. So I like that sort of behavior of Lori Senior's character. And like I said, Lori Senior and Richard E. Grant, they worked well together. Julian Sands is relishing his role. I will say the sequel had a bit more, how do I put this? The sequel was more interesting in its special effects, death scenes, and its direction, where certain way Anthony Hitchcock worked with the camera. But this one, I thought, had definitely the better characters. And I would say the better story. So I would say between the two, I would say this is the better Warlock film. If you did a blending of the two, like if you took the effects, which are a bit updated because it was a few years after this, and a bit more of that creative bloodshed that the Warlock was enjoying, and you put that into this, I think you really would have something. As it is, it's a decent film. I gotta say, I was a bit disappointed in the score. It's funny, when I reviewed the sequel, people kept asking me about the score. I'm like, I don't remember the score. But a lot of people are like, yeah, the score, that sucks. The score in this isn't too good either, and I'm very disappointed because it's Jerry Goldsmith. If you like the music in this, that's fine, but I love Jerry Goldsmith. He's my favorite composer. May he rest in peace. The first 3 Rambo films, Leviathan, Star Trek the Motion Picture. I love Jerry Goldsmith's scores. But this one, I thought was rather lame, honestly. I mean, just didn't care for it at all. It just wasn't for me. I don't know what it is. I do think it's one of the lesser Jerry Goldsmith scores. That's just my opinion. I just could not give a shit about the music in this. But yeah, overall, I do like Lori Senior and Richard E. Grant's back and forth. I do like the little bit of story. Yeah, again, it reminds me of stuff like Terminator, which is done better there, but I still liked it. I said Julian Sands was having fun. Yeah, some wanty makeup, some effects that don't hold up, some that do. Again, there's some ideas that are interesting. Spoiler alert, with spoilers. The third act in the cemetery is interesting, where Lori Senior puts salt water into Julian Sands, and the line she says is, "Try salt water, butt brain." I just thought the insult butt brain was very weird for an R-rated film. I mean, it is an R-rated movie. I mean, it's a movie where Julian Sands bites a guy's tongue out and spits it onto a frying pan. But the best she can say is butt brain. Does butt brain, ooh, what a horrible insult, butt brain. I'm not fuckwit or fuckhead or shithead or asshole. Butt brain. Okay, butt brain. I do like the effect of Warlock, Julian Sands' theater melting. Like, it's on fire and it's melting. I thought that was a pretty decent effect for the time. I like the way it ends. Again, spoilers, where, you know, a nice sort of sweet ending where they have to go their separate ways. He's got to go back to his time. And then the butts where she buries it, it's a very nice last shot because they don't like salt. So buries it in the salt, middle of nowhere with salt land, salt mines. It's just a nice looking final shot to end your movie. And so, like I said, I wouldn't say I love the film. Like I said, I kind of miss was not this movie's fault because that came out after, but the creative bloodshed of Julian Sands in the second movie, I really enjoy. But like I said, I think this has the better story and the better actors. Because the couple in the second one, I didn't give a fuck about. I didn't give a fuck about that couple. All I cared about Julian Sands killing people. Here, Lori Senior and Richard E. Grant, they definitely had better chemistry. They worked fairly well together. And like I said, Lori Senior has a nice, decent attitude, sense of humor to her character. Richard E. Grant really sells his tries to sell us all into being this witch hunter character. I would say some of the ideas, like nailing the footprints to hurt, that type of. And Julian Sands, like I said, he was having fun playing this role. And Steve Meyer's direction, decent. I mean, he's definitely no James Cameron, you know, that type of stuff. Action scenes, I would say he's average on filming action scenes. But I mean, you look at his those are not usually his forte, action sequences. But he did alright. Steve Miner, he did fine. I would say it's not one of my favorites of his. I would put Friday the 13th 2 and 3 above this. House I really enjoy. I love House. But this is still a decent film. Decent flick Warlock. So, I'm glad to finally see it. So, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.